Watch out, Todd.
We've made efforts to get out of our vehicle, and we've been ordered back in.
So I'm not sure which camera this is. This might be Todd's camera.
This would be with Todd Wallace,
this would be
right.
Todd camera.
This would be our second crew.
And Todd was actually at Mount Auburn and Lloyd, which is not far from where Sean is speaking to us right now. Sean is at Laurel Street and Dexter Street, at that intersection. But this camera is a little further away up on Mount Auburn and Lloyd.
I don't know. Hey, it looks like one of the suspects was removed from a Camaro. But let me just point out that this started with a black Mercedes. Then it was an SUV, and then we heard reports of a Camaro. The photograph that George Roderick just took is of a Camaro. Door open, and that appears to be where they just took somebody into custody.
Sean, this seems to be an awfully, and use your experience here. This seems to be an awfully heavy and weighted response for a carjacking.
Well, keep in mind that the first thing that happened was a police officer was shot and killed at MIT, and there were descriptions that had similarities to the suspects involved in the carjacking at in the area of that Shell and Mobil station on Memorial Drive.
So
now, we were hearing multiple reports of possibly 3 suspects, and then it became 2 armed suspects that had carjacked this Mercedes and had a passenger that they had kidnapped in that Mercedes for some time. The passenger was released, told police that these were armed. This was an armed carjacking. And then a short time later, we saw state troopers go as fast as possible down Memorial Drive in the direction of Watertown. Over the radio, we started hearing that there may be explosives being thrown from the vehicle, and not a short time after that, it sounded like fireworks out here with the amount of gunshots and explosions that were going on.
Sean, we have a young man by the name of Greg on the phone. Greg, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
This is Ed and Liz. I mean,
where are you?
You're in Watertown, right?
Yes, I actually live on Spruce Street. And
I don't know the streets that well. Is it in the heart of this area, or where's Spruce
actually,
Street?
Spruce Street runs into Laurel Street. It crosses school and goes into Laurel Street.
Okay, and what did you experience tonight?
Well, I had heard, first I heard a loud explosion-type sound, and then just a mass of police cars heading down Mount Auburn Street, but there were so many they couldn't tell which direction they were going. And then about half an hour ago, I heard a couple of sounds on my street, so I came out to check, and there were like 20, 25 police cars. And now the end of Mount Auburn Street at Spruce is blocked off. I'm hearing a helicopter coming overhead, and police are telling people coming out of their houses to go back in. They don't want to be here, and anybody who has no business on the street to just leave.
I want to give folks a reference to where you are, Greg, if I'm not mistaken. You say you're on Spruce Street, and it looks like Spruce Street runs into School Street, and then it becomes Laurel Street on the opposite side of School Street. So,
and then a short distance from there, it goes into Dexter Ave.
Exactly,
Right,
exactly.
right.
So where you are, it looks like it's a very short distance to where this initial takedown took place at Laurel and Dexter Streets in Watertown.
Yes, it's very close.
Did you hear the gunshots? Did you experience personally the gunshots?
I did hear them from my window,
Right.
and I was watching the MIT news coverage, and then a short time later, I heard gunshots off from my window, and I didn't think they were related. I thought there was something else, but then I kept on watching the news, and then all this started happening.
Well, we let me just be clear, Greg. We do not know if these
There's the
incidences are
helicopter he's
related.
talking about, by the way. That's the helicopter.
There's the helicopter you were just talking about. We have not connected the dots between the MIT incident and this incident. However, they have all happened within a relatively close proximity of one another in terms of distance and as well as timing this evening.
Well, Greg, thank you. You are safe. That is the most important thing, right?
Yes, I am safe, and my street seems to be safe, and everybody is inside and not creating any kind of commotion.
Well, it seems to be at a calmer point. I hesitate to say that the event is over. It just seems to be at a calmer point. But thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Greg in Watertown, you too. Greg in Watertown, who was up in the middle of this event that started a couple of hours ago. It very likely may have started in Cambridge a couple of hours ago, worked its way to Watertown, and it would appear that it has stopped in Watertown.
Well, and at one point in time, we had heard from Sean Kelly that there was a police boat in the Charles River at the end of the Longfellow Bridge. Now, whether or not that was connected to this carjacking remains to be seen as well. There have been just a number of different events occurring this evening over the last 2 or 3 hours. It is now 1:30 in the morning, and we were first initially hearing about an MIT police officer, a campus police officer who was down from multiple gunshot wounds at the campus and was taken to Mass General Hospital and pronounced dead. And a suspect in that incident, according to police so far, remains at large. Now, whether or not there's a connection to this, it is unclear at this hour. However, we can tell you, sadly, that an MIT campus police officer has been shot to death this evening, multiple gunshot wounds, and he was responding to some sort of a disturbance on the campus at Vassar and Main Streets, Building 32, the Stata building, as it's called. And from there, things developed to where there was an incident at the T station, the Charles T station, and the MGH T station is often called as well. And that incident then became clear, but we did see ambulances there and police vehicles there. An ambulance took a stretcher in and brought somebody out, and we don't know where that person went or where that ambulance went. There was a suspicious bomb threat called in. That was subsequently cleared. And then all of this happened where there were 2 crime scenes at the Shell and the Mobile stations at 816 Memorial Drive. And from that point on, we began to learn through News Center 5 Sean Kelly's reports of this carjacking, which he says started off as a black Mercedes and then somehow ended up that an SUV was involved and then possibly a Camaro involved. We understand that at least one of the suspects was struck multiple times and now has been taken away possibly to Beth Israel. We do not know that confirmation yet, but has been taken to an area hospital, and we believe also a second suspect may now also be in custody. A
lot of moving parts in the story.
Moving parts.
And let's just, if you don't mind, because we are, this area has been cleared and the police tape is now free. It's just police tape has been broken off, and the area itself has been cleared. So, Sean Kelly, you have more information you can give to us tonight?
Yeah, it's a little confusing as to how. It sounds like they've got 2 suspects in custody, but it sounds like what they're saying over the radio and what we're watching right now is that there's an active search for someone, and on the radio they're saying it's an active shooter. Stand by.
Active search for someone, as Sean says.
Well, and look
they're advising police officers to move their vehicles off of Mount Auburn. Police are still lining the streets with their weapons out,
and they're still concerned.
They're still looking for someone.
Yeah.
Well, if we don't know if they found the so-called possible SUV that may have been involved in this incident either. So perhaps this plays a piece of the puzzle. But clearly, we're looking.
Yeah, you asked me before what other officers are here. Brookline officers are even here.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're looking right now live, which I believe is Todd's camera at Mount Auburn area, and a heavy police presence, tanks that have been brought in. We saw National Guard, what appeared to be National Guard, in the area as well.
There are a number of uniformed soldiers in the back of that vehicle that just drove off, that heavily armored vehicle that just drove off. They broke off the crime scene tape at this location, but they are clearly, as Sean Kelly suggests, still looking in another area. Are they still looking in Watertown, Sean, to the best of your knowledge? You can see the helicopter is still in the air. It's still overhead. So it would be that if they have 2 people, then there is another reason for them to be concerned. So they're still very active.
All right, let's get back to Todd Wallace, who is, I believe, in the area where all this activity that we're watching right now. Todd, do you have any new information for us, please?
I can only tell you, I think, what you are actually seeing, and that is it looks like vehicles are leaving. Now, whether they are clearing or simply moving to another location, I don't know. The heavily armored vehicle that you saw go by was the one I was referring to earlier that had the Homeland Security decal on its side. But it looks like they're certainly trying to clear Mount Auburn, where I am here in Watertown, but I can't confirm where they're going. I don't know if this is an active search or if they're just clearing the area and they're suggesting that perhaps most, if not all, of this is over.
Todd, hang on for a minute. Shane Windstorm still. Shane, what have you learned? Because you live in the area. What have you learned?
Yeah, so they just wheeled. I just saw some EMT guys wheeling a gurney towards that intersection, that taped-off area of Dexter and Laurel. They took it up there empty. They're now wheeling it back. It's not close enough yet for me to discern whether there's somebody on that.
So you say that again. You're seeing them. There's somebody is possibly on a gurney.
Yes, they have a gurney. They're wheeling it back right now. There's somebody on it.
There is someone on it.
There's something on it. Hold on a second. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on.
By the way, folks, if you're just joining us, Shane is.
No, that's incorrect. Wait. Yes, there's somebody on it.
Shane, can you tell?
I'm trying to decide if it's a police officer.
Thank you.
Or,
That's what I was going to ask.
An officer. It's an officer, I believe, or because they're talking to the EMTs. He's conscious.
Did you hear that?
So he must be wounded. He's on the gurney. They're wheeling him back towards the ambulances, which are situated down at the end of Laurel towards School Street.
And can you see if there must be an ambulance down at that point, right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
There's two ambulances, and that's where they're wheeling them to right now.
Now,
But he was talking to the EMTs who were bringing him down, but clearly he's wounded. He must be, or he wouldn't be on the gurney.
Shane, have you heard any more gunshots? Have you heard?
I have not. I've heard nothing. It's been very quiet here. I'm looking at police dogs right now. I'm looking at a police officer with a German Shepherd. I don't know if these are if they've got a scent that they're looking for, or if they're bob sniffing dogs. I'm not sure. But it's very quiet.
Now, do you happen to see a Camaro or anything nearby, a car that looks like a Camaro?
There's a car that looks like an undercover car, but it's too far away for me to discern what it is.
Shane,
in the car, there was when the shootout happened earlier, it was a black car.
Shane, we're gonna go to Todd Wallace. Todd has heard something. Todd, what have you heard in your area?
Yeah, I just heard actually a loud boom. I won't go so far as to say it was an explosion, but perhaps it was something that was detonated. They're making us go now to Bigelow Street, so further back than where we were on Lloyd, in the opposite direction. In the opposite direction of Dexter. They are definitely clearing us away. Again, I'm trying to get some confirmation.
Well, they have reestablished that crime scene perimeter.
Yes.
You know, they took it down, but now they've brought it a block or two closer to you, so they are moving you back.
And again, I just heard a loud boom. It more sounded like something was detonated as opposed to an actual explosion. I'm just obviously guessing here.
Yeah, Bigelow looks like it's a couple of blocks up from where you were, and it sort of closes in near the intersection of Arlington and Mount Auburn. So Bigelow is one of the streets that shoots off of Mount Auburn Street. So that's where you are being moved to anyway.
Well, we're being moved to, yes. We haven't quite made it there as yet. And
how far away was that boom that you heard, would you guess?
I would say perhaps about 3 blocks. About 3 blocks, I'd say. And this officer here to my left is saying all the way back to Bigelow, and he's pretty consistent with that. So I don't know if that means they're trying to actively look at something in the area where we are.
Well, it could also just be for your safety.
That and also the crime tape also just went back up. So, clearly they are trying to reestablish the area for our safety, I would suggest, because, yes, this is a residential area.
Todd, just for your information, our Sean Kelly is believing that there is another suspect still at large. Okay. So this is not a resolved situation just yet, based on Sean's observation. So this could very much be a part of that they want to keep control of that. We noticed a few minutes ago the helicopter is still in the air, so they still appear to be looking for someone.
Although I will tell you that I do not see any officers with their guns drawn. I mean, obviously it's very intense here but it does not appear as if they are. It does not appear as if they are looking directly where I am.
But it does look like
aside from just moving us back.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it looks like they're trying to. I can see the officer right now just telling all of you to keep moving back, and it looks like he wants to extend that police tape. He's got that roll in his left hand there.
The only thing I can suggest is perhaps they are expanding the area where they're searching. And then perhaps they suspect that where they need to look is where we have been. And to thoroughly look and to safely look, and for everyone's safety, to move us away from where we were. That, of course, is complete speculation, but as you can imagine, it's hard to get much confirmation on anything.
Well, this is a very
active
right now. Yeah, this is a very active and fluid scene right now that has been unfolding for the better part of a couple of hours now, and it's just been a very active and a busy evening of activity, police activity, starting on the MIT campus and now ending up here in Watertown, and whether or not all of these situations are related remains to be seen at this hour.
And let's not lose sight of the fact that at the beginning of this evening, an MIT police officer was shot multiple times, and that police officer has died from his wounds. The campus, the MIT, putting out a statement tonight that it is heartbroken by the news that an MIT police officer has been shot and killed. Our thoughts are now with the officer's family. Sean Kelly is back. Sean, everybody seems to be moving back, so there continues to be an urgency, a concern, a high priority around here.
So now what they just allowed us to move our car and move out of the kind of the heart of this scene. Actually, I shouldn't say allowed. They ordered us out. We had been stuck there for the last 10 to 15 minutes at least. I've kind of lost track of time at this stage. But what the police were being told as I was pulling out with the windows down, I was told by a police officer that there's still believed to be an active shooter on the loose. Now the police are questioning whether they ever had the second person in custody that they were looking for.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to also, I don't know if you heard Shane talking a little while ago. He thought he saw a police officer on a gurney. The police officer was conscious, but it appeared to Shane that they were wheeling this gurney back to an ambulance. Were you able to see any of that from your vantage point, or were you simply too far away?
We were pinned down in an area where we couldn't see it. We were simply hearing reports that an officer had been hit in this area. So that would mean a MIT police officer killed tonight, and a police officer struck in Watertown. We don't know where that police officer was from. As we've already said, there were Boston police officers, Cambridge, Brookline, Transit Police, all in this area, in addition to Watertown.
Shane, are you still on the phone with us, Shane?
Yeah, I am.
Has it quieted in your neighborhood? In other words, do you hear any more gunshots or explosions?
No, I don't hear any more gunshots, but I can tell you right now they're very vigilant as far as moving up and down the street. There's still in this taped off area between Laurel and Dexter. Mm-hmm. I can see them all standing there. I don't know. I can't really tell you exactly what they're all doing in this one area, but they're all concentrated in that intersection between Laurel and Dexter. There must be at least 15 or 20 officers, maybe undercovers, but various.
And just to be clear, to the best of your observational point, and I understand it's 1:30 in the morning, and it's not exactly the most ideal lighting conditions, but the officer that was transported on the gurney that you saw, was up and conscious and talking. So the immediacy is, it didn't seem to be a dire situation that you saw.
No, it didn't look like anything that was life-threatening. Again, I mean, he was covered up from the waist down, so maybe there was maybe he had taken a hit below the waist. But he was conversing with the EMT people that were bringing him down the street. The helicopter keeps going over our head here, but I keep seeing more and more cars coming. Different agency cars are coming up this street towards this intersection and parking. And everything's sort of concentrated in this one intersection.
And what is that?
What was that? Yeah.
I have no idea.
Oh, that was from Sean Kelly. Okay.
Are you still seeing canines scouring with police?
There's two canine units up here.
We're watching an arrest being made right now.
Oh, here we go.
Listen. All right. There's a person being taken into custody right now.
Can you see the person, Sean?
Claiming to be the friend of someone who was already arrested.
Can you see that person?
Walked down the street by a handful of police officers. He doesn't seem to be resisting in any way. This was all kind of playing out right in an area where a large group of media was standing, and it just kind of happened out of nowhere. George, we're on the air right now. What did you just see?
Oh, I just saw a young.
Just tell me, did he come? Did that guy come? Was he with this pack of people?
I don't know if this guy knows him. He's a friend of his. This girl was. He was over there.
Yeah, you know that guy?
I know exactly who he is.
Who is he?
My friend Nate. He just got out of work, and just because he so happens to have a backpack on, they just arrested him for no reason. Hands down. He's got no probable cause, no nothing for a reason to get arrested right now.
Okay.
Hands down, I guarantee you.
Okay, all right. So listen, obviously there is so much confusion here right now. We've seen police try to go after a handful of people. It's an extremely sensitive scene, and the person who was just taken into custody in handcuffs matched the description that was being discussed over the radios earlier.
So So you didn't actually see Sean Kelly, didn't actually see the person getting arrested, though, right?
I did. I watched. I was just standing right in front of him as
what was he
kind
saying?
of played out of nowhere.
I know you tried to have us hear what he was saying. Could you hear what he was saying? Because we
couldn't hear what he was saying. What was going on?
What I was trying to have you listen to was the police officers screaming for this large and growing crowd to back away from this scene, because now this is literally playing out in every direction. The media is gathering in one spot, and the next thing you know, police officers are surrounding this guy and putting handcuffs on him.
We are just getting pictures into the newsroom, Sean, and as you are talking, we are putting the pictures on the air of the.
Is that the video?
No, these are still pictures from. This picture is from Andrew Kitzenberg, so I assume these are just from viewers that, and we appreciate the pictures, by the way. The pictures are from viewers that we're putting on. We had a live shot from the Mount Auburn area where Todd is, not where you are, but that has since gone away.
All right, I attempted to send some video back of the chase that was going on before. Hopefully we can get that turned around.
Well, I'm sure we received it. We're efforting that, and we will turn that back. Now, do you believe the situation is secure now, or are they still looking for another suspect?
I don't think that the situation is secure. We're not seeing any real letdown from the police. They're trying to keep everyone in the same general area. Police still have their guns out, and there's no one seems to be calming down at this stage. After a period where it sounded like they all believed the second suspect was in custody.
Right.
Yeah, Sean, it's about 12 minutes to 2 right now, and this sort of all unfolded. I've lost sort of track of time myself, but I think this all sort of started happening about 2 hours ago with what we believe was the carjacking situation at the mobile and Shell stations. And can you tell us from that point, were you at that intersection? Were you following the cars? Because you ended up in Watertown with the gunshots. Can you take us from those two crime scenes of the Shell and the mobile station at 816 Memorial Drive to how you got to Watertown?
So I'll take you through, best I can, the entire timeline. I think roughly 10:30 tonight, thereabouts, is when the police officer at MIT was shot and killed. Not long after that, maybe 11:15, the situation seemed to escalate even more during the search for suspects. Sometime at least around, I would say after midnight, closer to 12:30, we heard reports of a carjacking on Memorial Drive, 816 Memorial Drive, in the area of a Mobil and Shell gas station. The report was that it was two armed men who carjacked who stole a Mercedes and in the process kidnapped someone. There were mixed reports about whether that person was originally in the car or not, or was brought to the car. From that scene, troopers and police sped away in the direction of Watertown. There was a report of a sighting of this car. As we were making our way to Watertown, there was a report of explosives being thrown from the car. They didn't say what kind, and then they started saying that it was, they believed it was grenades being thrown from the car. As we pulled into a Watertown neighborhood, we immediately started hearing rapid gunfire and then explosions. A huge, the smell of gunpowder just kind of overwhelmed us at that point. And then we continued to hear rapid gunfire, while over the radio we could hear police officers screaming, "They're shooting at us, they're shooting at us."
Now, I realize you've been at this scene, so you really may not be able to answer this question, but I'm curious about this possible kidnapping. Is there any word on where that person is?
That person, I believe, was okay, but was able to get out of the car and was being questioned by police.
Okay.
This is a picture of a Homeland Security vehicle that Todd Wallace has been talking about, that he actually went into the area with, and you could see how many men are on that vehicle. There's a good handful, 6, 7, or 8 are on that vehicle, and that's the picture that you're looking at there. Sean, so so just to be clear, at the moment there is still no calming in Watertown. There is still a belief that this is not a secure scene.
Correct. They're not ordering, on the street that I'm on right now, they're no longer ordering people back into their homes or into cars. With that said, I can still see on a neighboring street police officers with flashlights clearly searching for someone, guns still drawn in the area.
So
but comparatively, it has the level of intensity has reduced dramatically, and I witnessed